If you've dined at Bistro 1907 by Mark Canzonetta over the last 2 years, chances are good you've seen Jessica Phelps doing her best to make sure your experience is top-notch. And I did some digging to even say that. You see, Jessica is the #1 server when it comes to being mentioned in positive online reviews for Bistro. Then one day, Jessica's life was saved while she was on the clock at Bistro. A quick Heimlich maneuver by a fellow coworker and friend, and I started to want to know her better. And what I found out stopped me dead in my tracks.
I came from a childhood of brokenness, abuse, betrayal, sadness, and I had a lot of issues as a kid, and I was put on medications, and I really, very early on, I saw myself as rejected by God because of the things that I was going through. Other people didn't have problems like me. Other people had, families at home and fathers at home, but I didn't have that, and so I thought that God didn't love me. So I really embraced a life of drugs, and I was very much, in trouble at school a lot. I got in a lot of legal trouble because I was on a path of self-destruction, and I just really wanted to die. I didn't understand the meaning of life, and I ended up going to prison for the first time at 19 years old, and I prostituted myself for the first time at 16.
Jessica went on to eventually develop an addiction to heroin and all the consequences that come with it. She also lost a baby almost halfway through a pregnancy that left her questioning life. Hers included now even more. Rehab was her next stop, many times over.
I ran from God for many, many years, and I was convinced that because I was convinced that He didn't love me, I just kept running. And I ended up going into, by the time all was said and done, I was in 25 different rehabs, hospitals, jails, and institutions. And none of these places could help me. I never felt any better. I never felt like I had the desire to live. And then one day in 2019, I had fully relapsed on drugs again. And I didn't know, I had a moment of clarity where I said to myself, Jessica, you're actually walking straight back into hell again. And I thought to myself, well, what can I really do about it?
And that's when it happened. She reached out to a higher power, and somehow, some way, she got an answer.
And in that moment, I heard God speak to me, and He said, Jessica, you have to decrease, and I have to increase. And when I heard His voice, I hit my knees and I cried out and I said, God, please save me. And I cried out to the Lord. And I spent that day on my knees. I opened my Bible. I opened it up to the Psalms. I started praying it because I didn't know what to pray. And I just started telling God that I didn't want to be this way anymore. And I spent the day crying. And when I went to sleep, when I woke up the next day, those chains of addiction were completely gone.
And if you aren't a believer in all of this, well, just sit tight and listen. No judgment. Everyone has their own story, right?
And I was so amazed that the Lord had heard my cry for help that I told Him I was never going to let go of His hand. And I made the decision to get up every day and pray. Before I got on Facebook, before I did anything else, I wanted to show Him that I was serious. And the first day I got up and sat down and I went to pray, I heard Him say to me, Jessica, you can never let go of my hand. And I knew in that moment that He was asking me to never let go of Him and to pray every day until the last day I took my last breath. And I said, you got it. And I made the commitment that day to get up every day and pray, and my life has drastically changed since 2019. It has, I can actually get up in the morning. He gives me the strength to live 24 hours at a time. I haven't relapsed. He has broken the chains of self-hatred. He has healed the wounds of abandonment.
Even when it comes to her job at Bistro 1907, she credits God. And so the book, Saved by Grace, came to be. Its target? the people and their families who might have lost hope.
And this book it's mainly for people who are stuck in the revolving doors of jails and prisons. This is the book that I wish I had in jail. It gives you my transparency and my honesty about what I went through shows people that they're not alone. I would come to work 3 times a week, 4 times a week here, and then I would go home and I would write the other half of the week, and I would sit in my living room with my laptop. It took me 7 months to edit it twice, rewrite it twice, and publish it. I got it done.
So you're working as a waitress here?
Yeah.
A good environment for you here? Can I ask you that?
It's a wonderful environment, very chill. Everybody's so kind. Mark is the nicest boss I've ever had in my life. Very nice guy, supportive. Yeah.
The book is Jessica's unfiltered story, and it's meant to give hope. Chef Mark Hanzanetta stepped up to make sure this book gets to the people who need it the most, people who are battling their own demons, and the people who are praying for their loved ones to find strength to get to a better place.
I've had people buy this to send to their grandchildren or sons or daughters into the jails or into the prisons. It's in some Teen Challenge libraries. It's in jails. It gets donated to some drug and alcohol treatment centers. And Mark Hanzanetta, he just bought a case of 50 to donate to Mahoning County Jail.
And at the end of the day, whether you believe in the higher power or the power of prayer or not, no one can argue with the clarity and kindness that now rules Jessica's life.
My life is a testimony to what God can do in a very short amount of time.